Hey, Happy New Year to you. We have a whole year in front of us and we want to use it well, right? You may have heard that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 week, but underestimate what they can do in 1 year. There's truth in that. And weaved into this is the fact that we often act on momentum and temporary hype or excitement. But this is not what gets us to our goals and dreams. If you've been around a bit, you've heard me say that consistency and sticking with something is the key to success. The world tries to convince us that we can reach financial goals overnight and without doing much. Well, that just isn't truth 99% of the time or 99.99% of the time. If you want something, keep your eyes on the prize and keep at it. You will see progress. I can't say it enough. Stopping or giving up totally will just delay or remove completely the possibility altogether to get where you really want to be. I'm really glad that you're here today because we're talking about layering multiple income streams and what that looks like. Are you sitting in front of a pile full of tasks for your business, family, household, and everything else to do and long for that to go away? The trick is creating passive income. Of course, there's some work behind the passive part, but working 20% compared to 120 completely turned around how I enjoy life today. Great to have you here. Are you ready to move the needle, work less, and earn more? Grab your latest craft project and your favorite drink. Let's stitch together purpose, profit, and peace to create the life we've long been wanting. In the last episodes, we talked about different online business models, about choosing the right one, and about working in harmony with the season of life that you're in. So let's bring all this together in a practical way today. Because layering income streams sounds exciting and very beneficial. But if it's done wrong, it quickly turns into overwhelm, scattered focus, and burnout. And I want to be very clear right from the start. Layering income streams does not mean doing everything at once. It means building wisely, in order, and in alignment with your life. Most people don't need more ideas. They need a way to grow without breaking what already works. So today I'll walk you through what layering actually can look like in real life, how to get started alongside your employment, what to do if you're starting from stability versus necessity, and very practical steps you can take after this episode. So grab your favorite drink and snacks. Maybe you're knitting something or folding some laundry, but let's get into it. So, what does layering really mean? When people hear layering income streams, they might imagine multiple businesses, several platforms, constant activity, and very little rest. That's not what I mean. Layering means to me one solid foundation, built consistently, and with additional streams added at the right time, not all at once. Think of it like knitting or sewing. You don't usually start different projects with different yarns and patterns all at once. You actually get to wear something new if you work on one section first before adding to the next, and that gets the project done. Layering works best when one stream supports your time, another supports your creativity, and another supports long-term income, but always in the right order. So next, let's look at the most common starting point, which is employment plus an online business. For most people listening, this is the reality. You have a job, bills are paid, or at least mostly covered, but you want more buffer, and you want to build something beside that job. This is actually a strong starting position, even if it doesn't feel glamorous. When you start alongside employment, your job gives stability, your online business gets room to grow, pressure is lower, and learning feels safer, It supports starting a business, as it always involves an investment, for instance, advertising. The key here is not time quantity, but consistency. This might look like 30 to 60 minutes a day, or 3 to 5 focused hours per week. Not every day, but regularly. You don't need 10 platforms or endless tools or a complicated setup. You need simplification. One system, one direction, and repeated action. This is exactly why system-based online businesses work so well alongside employment. They remove decision fatigue and allow you to focus on learning and implementing, not inventing new. You can imagine how much more time and energy that requires. So there are two very different starting scenarios, and this is very important. So let's talk about real life, because not everyone starts from the same place. Scenario 1, starting from stability. If your basic needs are covered, your goal is sustainability, skill building, and long-term momentum. You may be planning toward a larger project that requires investment, setting aside to have a comfortable retirement maybe, or even retire early. Whatever it may be, usually in this season, speed is not the priority. Consistency is. Your practical focus should be decide how many hours you can commit without creating any kind of resentment. Block that time in your calendar first, then choose one business model and ignore everything else. There will always be lots of choices, but once you make your choice, stick with it. There is not only one perfect model for you or for anyone. The one you're consistent with is better than the one you switch halfway down the line before you see the success coming up. Switching is next to stopping or quitting, going to slow you down in your overall journey. Commit for at least 90 days of focused, consistent building. Remember, it generally takes 3 to 5 years for new businesses to start gaining profits. Now, some are quicker. I've seen that many times myself in the new online world of business. But to be realistic, you won't give up prematurely or often right before the breakthrough was about to happen, and then you would have had a nice profit. This season rewards patience, but not everybody has a secure beginning. So looking at scenario 2, where you would be starting from need, where waiting is not an option. Now, let's admit that life is not often a perfect scenario. Sometimes people start because they have to. Financial pressure, health challenges, a job loss, or simply realizing I can't keep doing what I'm doing forever. If that's you, take this to heart. You still need focus, but no panic. In pressure seasons, simplicity beats creativity. Structure beats freedom, and guidance beats trial and error. Your goal is not to build something fancy. Your goal is to get traction. That can often mean choosing an existing system. That is what I have done. I wanted to get started right away and not use time to figure it all out and build it from scratch. It also often means learning fast, focusing on applicable skills, and focusing on income-producing actions, not experimenting endlessly. Waiting for the perfect plan is usually not an option in this case, but starting messy is much better than not starting at all. So this is how layering works when it's done right. Layering works well when your business matches your season of life. That would be ideal. Your activities match your energy, and your growth stays harmonious. Now, that sounds like it might be difficult to reach, almost like a dream, but it is doable. It connects directly to what we've talked about earlier in the series. When you work with your season, not against it, consistency becomes easier. So here's an example progression. Phase 1, the foundation. You're learning, implementing, and showing up consistently. Very important. Phase 2 is when you stabilize. You see systems run smoother, your confidence is growing, and income becomes a bit more predictable. Then phase 3 is layering different options. For instance, adding creative projects or digital products, where content and leadership roles take over once you're comfortable and the system is running. You're probably noticing something important here. You don't replace the foundation, you build on top of it. No need to reinvent the wheel every January at the change of a new year. Simply make adjustments and optimize. So, what I consider layering, it does not mean chasing every new idea. Definitely not. That is probably the worst thing you can do next to never starting at all. Switching business models every few months is never going to help you focus and build momentum and consistency, which is what brings you results. And starting over repeatedly just brings you back to square one. These are guarantees for failure. Moving from one business to the next usually does not create sustainable momentum. It creates loss of confidence and really no results. True growth comes from staying on course, allowing your role to mature and to stabilize. After the uncomfortable beginning, it always develops into the normal and it's something you get used to. And then monitoring and leadership replaces getting tasks done over time. This is why we teach consistency is key. Follow the system. Don't let shiny objects steal your focus. The grass is green wherever you water it, so stay on your side. So next up, I have a very practical just get started plan. If you're thinking, okay, but what should I do now? Here's a simple plan that you can actually follow. So step 1 would pretty obviously be to decide. Pick one income path after doing a time of researching. But then stop researching alternatives and focus on the choice that you've made. Because there is no perfect or only one perfect option for you. There could be many, but you have to choose one. Step 2 would be to start time blocking. Decide your minimum weekly commitment, put it in your calendar, and then when you start to learn and implement, that would be step 3. You learn only what you need for the next step. You cannot learn everything all at once. Make sure you organize and specify what the priorities are to get the momentum going and do those things. Many feel lost in the learning phase and mean they need to know everything first before starting. I like learning by doing and make sure that they are things that will move me forward. Then take imperfect action. Perfection is a dangerous thought. Don't get stuck there. Then finally, step 4. To make some reviews monthly or even weekly sometimes. Ask yourself what worked and what didn't, what you can adjust. Just don't overthink. Don't restart. Just optimizing and forward movement. This is what we talked about in the last episode at the new year. So, how would you know that you're on the right path? If you feel challenged but not constantly overwhelmed, you know you're on the right track. You're learning something weekly. You're still showing up on hard weeks, difficult times. Your life feels it's falling into alignment. It's no more chaotic. The learning phase can feel messy, but after practice, it'll start feeling normal. Don't get that mixed up with chaos. It's not the same. You're likely off track if you keep switching directions, you're constantly second guessing, or you feel crazy busy but you don't see any progress. Alignment creates peace. Peace in itself creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Now, before we close, there's one piece that I don't want to leave out. Because without it, even the best business model and the most practical plan won't carry you very far. And that's mindset. Not positive thinking for the sake of it, but good choices of how you influence your thinking. You don't want stinking thinking. but the daily intentional work of guarding your thoughts, your expectations, and your self-talk. Take any negative or wrong, confusing, uneasy thoughts captive and throw them out purposefully. Most people don't quit because the business doesn't work. They quit because their mind gets tired before the system does. It affects their emotions, and that is not a helpful place to be. They might start thinking, I should be further by now. I've done that. Others seems to move faster than me. Been there. Maybe I'm doing this wrong, or maybe it just isn't for me. Many people take that for granted after a very short time, and that is not the point. That is just stinking thinking. Maybe others are faster right now, but you can be faster later. It's not everybody has the same journey. I think that's one of the most important things I have learned in the online business. And if you don't learn how to manage those thoughts, they quietly pull you off track long before results have a chance to show up. Mindset isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle. It's something you maintain, just like consistency. It's part of you and keeps you on the right road to success. For me, that looks like daily input that strengthens belief. I listen to podcasts that are encouraging. I learn what God has given me and what God thinks I am, and just faith in general. Surround myself with people who think long-term and believe in success. And remind myself why I started on the days when motivation is low. Why did I start in the first place? What is my goals? And for who am I doing these things? Earning more money is not a goal. That's a result of what you're doing. Why do you want to earn more money? Why do you want to have more free time? That will get you to your why. Dreams don't come true simply because they're good ideas. They come true when belief outlasts discouragement. Did you hear that one? Belief must outlast discouragement to succeed. If you don't intentionally renew your mindset, the chances of staying consistent, especially when life gets busy or progress feels slow, drop dramatically. And that's not because we're weak. It's because mindset is the fuel that keeps you moving when momentum has not yet caught up. So as you decide to start layering income streams, as you build it alongside your work, as you grow through different seasons, make mindset part of your non-negotiables daily. It's a health necessity because when your thinking stays aligned, your actions stay aligned. And when those two things work together steadily over time, that's when dreams are no longer in the distant future, but start becoming reality. So let me leave you with this. You don't need 5 income streams. You need one solid foundation built in harmony with your life. And then layering is not about doing more, but it's doing the right things at the right time, in the right order. Very important. Start where you are and use what you have. Stay consistent and allow your role to grow over time. And if you're building alongside your job, that's not a weakness. It's often the smartest way to build something that lasts. In the next episodes, we'll continue with useful insights in the series about choosing to start an online business. Until then, be kind to yourself, stay focused, and keep taking steady steps forward. You'll build something that flourishes and that lasts. If this episode made you think, okay, maybe this doesn't have to be all or nothing, or maybe I don't have to quit my job to start building something meaningful, then that's exactly the point. You don't need to blow up your life to change your future. You just need a wise starting point and a system that grows with you. Because I started when I wasn't working, not alongside a job. I always want to acknowledge both paths. Building next to employment is not only wise, it's far more sustainable. It's probably the best idea to get started. But not everyone is in that situation. The key is patience, and Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a business that truly supports your life. If you're curious what that can look like in a very real and doable way, especially if you value structure, mentorship, and long-term consistency, You'll find a link in the show notes where I share the business model I personally chose. No rush, no pressure, just information, so you can decide what fits your season. And if nothing else, let this be your encouragement for today. It's totally okay to build gradually. It's probably the best you can do. And it's not wrong to create multiple income without losing yourself in the process. But be smart about it, because doing multiple things at once will only confuse you. Make sure you're in the right season. So see you soon, and have a great start in 2026. And just focus on sticking to it and being consistent. See you soon.